What's up, everybody? It's your favorite alternate choices, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at KFC Citizen Stack on loan to me from Mr. T2RX6.
What is going on, everybody?
See? We're friends in real life, not just internet friends. See, I can be nice to other reviewers. I don't think they're all... But anyway, we're going to take a look at this guy. T2RX6 is going to be nice enough to transform for me since I'm not that comfortable. I'm just my first time really messing with him. But, the plastic feels good. You know, it feels along the Sencho line to me. I like it. I like all the red. You know, if they didn't put that there, I think it would look horrendous. But with all the red, it really does break it up nicely. I like that. I like the silver stripes here. I like the little accents there and the chrome and all this stuff's looking good. He rolls well. He gets caught up. I'm not sure why that one doesn't spin, but gets a little caught up in my mat, but that's my mat's fault, not his fault, I believe. Yeah, looks good. The smokestacks, chrome, nice. I'm like really looking at this for the first time myself, so you have to excuse me. I see that little bit of business, little head in there. He's looking out the window. How else are you gonna drive? I like it. Very cool. These articulate a little bit there, so you can, you know, do some side blasting. You know, if you're doing a drive-by. Are the wheels rubber?
I believe so.
Nice. And you know, people talk about like rubber wheels and the problems with them, and you know, deteriorating and all that. And like, I gotta be honest with you, I don't care. It makes me. I'm gonna smell it. I'm gonna smell it right now. It just makes me remember my childhood. I remember rubber wheels. You know, James will be happy too because the rubber wheels are going to pick up little dirt marks on my mat that he's constantly critiquing, so that's nice too. That's another bonus for me. But yeah, looking good. I'm going to let Mr. T2RX6 jump in here and transform him and talk you through it, and then I'll get back with some articulation, a size comparison or two, and some final thoughts, and we'll get out of here. We're a little bit under time constraints, so pardon the quick, but overall, I do like this.
Alright, so let's get this guy transformed and we'll try to be quick here. We're going to start by disconnecting these blue pieces, and you can see his gun already fell out there. So we'll just take that out of here and flip the handle down for him and put it to the side. We'll come to the back here, and pardon the trouble getting this guy transformed on the camera. It's huge, so it's pretty tough to actually get this guy transformed properly. So once we have that, you can see everything just kind of falls apart. We'll take these panels and put them on up like this, and then we will come down to his legs here, and we split this, and then we come to the really tough part here, and that is to take these legs and find a good place to grip them and pull them. And I gotta be honest, doing this here is a little bit harder to do at Skullface's house.
Get it right, smart guy. Because if I got to spend my day answering all these nerds correcting me on the internet, I'm going to be furious.
Listen, you don't need to point a Megatron at me. I'll get it right. Okay, so after some police intervention, we're back here, and I've got the legs properly extended out so we can flip the truck piece up like this. We can listen to Skullface destroy part of his collection. And then we take this and we fold it all in, and this panel comes all the way out, because it's going to fold back here like that to fill in the leg, which is a really nice touch. And then we'll go ahead and just flip out these foot pieces down here, like so. And then it's just, again, repeat, same thing. Other leg, flip it, flip the toe pieces on out, if you can. Here we go. Flip these around, open up the panel, and close it like that. So now we've got pretty much the legs done, and that's like 90% of this figure, I would say. And forgot we have to rotate them at the knee. So now we go to the top part here. Let's adjust this thing upward so you guys can actually see what's going on. Alright, so now that we got the bottom of this mess done, we'll go ahead and fold these little air canisters in. And we'll fold this on around, and you can see it fits nice in that little red piece. And then this whole thing folds up. And you can see the red piece and the blue piece here kind of fold down. And then you use these extra little tabs to lock it in place here on each side. And then the back piece here just to kind of fill in the gap. So it's still going to kind of bend forward on you, but once we get the arms in place, it'll be fine. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take these arm cannons off, and we want to fold this down and around, and we want to flip his arms here at the shoulders in the process, and then plug everything on into the sides here. And this part's pretty cool. So we'll turn it so we get his elbow facing forward, and when you push this forward, it's going to extend up the whole thing. And what's really nice, to make that extra gap, you got this little extension piece that you never see when he's not in his truck mode. Well, you never see it, but it only sometimes is apparent when he's in robot mode, so you just kind of slide that down. So again, find his elbow like that. The little arm gauntlet slide back to reveal his fists there on both sides. We flip his head on around here, and then the only thing left to do is actually plug in his cannons on his arms here. And then we'll hand it all back to Skullface.
Okay, thank you, Mr. T2RX6. First of all, this is the SXS head. I want to make sure to note that, and it is a nice unit, especially when my only experience with SXS is continuously variable, which is a mess. But yeah, let's take a look real quick. There he is. There he is. And one of the guns broke coming out of the box. If I'd had both guns, he'd have been sold by now. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll use them for a video next year, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, head seems to be on a swivel that hinges, which you know I'm a fan of. Ball joints are okay on heads. Like, that's kind of where I prefer ball joints to be. But I really don't often need, like, when I'm posing figures, for the head to go, you know, at an angle that way. So I'm okay with this as is. It's actually how I prefer it. It's how Soundwave is. It's how Bumblebee is. It's a lot of how, like, my favorite pieces. It's a lot how they, you know, that most of them are that way. So that's nice. Arms are on swivels. Shoulders are on a hinge. And that to me seems like, this is my first time playing with this, and I haven't really got to mess with it a whole lot. I had T2RX6 here, and I wanted to make sure that we did something together. So this is my first time really messing with it, and I got to tell you, with the size of this figure, that is something I would have expected not to be the case. However, he does seem to be holding them well. You know, this one gives a little bit more than this one, but it seems like with a figure at this size, this kind of weight that you're going to have, even if a lot of it is hollow or whatever, it's just mass that it needs to hold. So that would be a concern of mine. And then the bicep swivel right above the elbow, which is okay given the mold. And those both seem good. You got soft ratchets for the elbows, which is nice, but I would have preferred if that ratchet sat up here. And then you got a wrist swivel, and then you got each finger is articulated at the base knuckle, which is actually how I prefer. They're going crazy these days with each finger having like 18,000 points of articulation. I don't feel like that's necessary personally, and I feel like a lot of times it makes the hands look awkward. I'm okay with, if you're going to do each finger, I'm okay with it just being at one knuckle. Like that works like a champ to me, you know, but that's me. Waist is on a swivel. Perfect. Ooh, that's an issue for me. That's a universal joint at the hips that's non-ratcheted, and it's the same, you know, the same kind of physics apply with the shoulder, except you got even more mass. So there's no way he would hold that, and that's kind of disappointing. And then I don't want to, you know, it's somebody else's toy. Those are hard ratcheted knees, and they're great. But once again, I would have rather it have been a solid hinge there and the ratchets to have been up here. I think that would just be more beneficial. And then there's a knee swivel, so there's no thigh swivel, swivels below the knee, which is not my favorite thing in the world. But with figures like this, where it's all just block, you know, block, etc., it's not as big of a deal. But like when I buy Marvel Legends and stuff, and the swivel, they do it at the boot or the calf instead of up at the thigh, it's more disappointing. It doesn't really bother me here. And then you got like 2 feet basically, and they're both on ball joints, so you're going to get everything you want. The only hindrance is going to be from the side as far as how far you can go, but it's still pretty effective. Nice paint applications. You know, this could use some stuff in here. But, you know, sometimes it's just little small things. Like, just a little red triangle there helps break all that up. And that can't be that costly. You know, this seems like it's done a little willy-nilly in there. You know, there's some spillover. I understand that's a difficult place to do it. But overall, he's a pretty good figure. He's KFC, great figure. But I'd say he's a pretty good figure. Give me 1 minute, I'll give you some size comparisons. All right, size comparison-wise, there he is with MP10. I don't really hate that as much as I thought I would, but I still think it's a bit out of whack. And then I chose this guy because he's a bigger fella. Put him on this side. There he is next to before and after's 6 gun. I'm not sure what his special name is, but yeah, that looks great. You know, that size of figure next to him looks awesome. Okay, so final thoughts. My big issue with this is that it seems like the resources were spent in weird places. Now, I'm looking at the head, and I keep thinking to myself, like, man, that's a good-looking head, but I got to remember that that's not the appropriate head, so I don't really have a base for that, but that's fine. My main issues are that the ratchets are on the bending joints as opposed to the weight holding joints, and in a perfect world I want them both because it doesn't really work great without both. But if I had to prioritize one over the other, I usually end up having more dynamic poses in the shoulders and in the hips than I do in the knees and elbows. So that's my big complaint. That's what makes this feel like, you know, like I think this thing was around $150, maybe 175, somewhere around there. You feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that one because I really have no base point of reference. But that's where that money would have hurt me. But it is obvious to tell where that money went in its place. For instance, this thing has a lot more paint and it's a lot more smooth and kind of streamlined than most KFC figures, where you get like a lot of those KFC tapes and it's like, okay, we definitely want to put the head here and we definitely want to put one hand here. This rest of the stuff, I don't know, dude. Put it on his calf. You don't really get that feeling here. This cleans up really kind of fantastically. You know, and there's no butt flap, which is my big concern with the Masterpiece that's coming. I do have him pre-ordered, so we will be taking a look at him, but that's really what worries me with the Masterpiece one. But if the Masterpiece one has those ratchets on the hips, I'm not sure which one I would go with better. I think it's gonna depend on how he looks next to MP10, and then who I can put in front of him to hide that butt flap. Because that butt flap. But that's a different video. Overall, I gotta say for a KFC toy, it's a lot better than usual. I definitely put him in the Sencho Barbosa bracket. I do have issues with him, but those issues aren't really deal breakers. They just don't necessarily justify the price to me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check out T2RX6 Reviews. He does a new video every Friday. He's super analytical, very smart guy, and a good friend of mine. And I'll see you next time.